Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. It's 12 after the hour. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I'm Jim Blasingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad Marsha Egan's back. Marsha's a longtime member of our Brain Trust, the founder and CEO of the Egan Group. She's the author of Inbox Detox, and she is an outstanding consultant to small businesses. And she's here to help us with a couple of different topics that she's very smart about and will help all of us get better at what we do. Marsha Egan, welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Jim.
It's good to have you back, Marsha. Okay, so one of the things that small business owners do pretty well is set goals for themselves. What they don't always do so well is measure them and hold themselves accountable for the results of those goals. What do you think?
Oh, you can say that again.
Okay, so one of the things is small. Well, so how do we deal with that?
Well, it's interesting because for those many small business owners have come from the corporate world where if you don't meet your target by the end of the week, or if you don't get the report in by the end of the week, you can be fired. And whether you worked in corporate America where you were accountable to someone else who had control over your paycheck or not, the challenge is that you are accountable to you. And many times people will let those accountabilities slide more than anything else. In other words, they might say, oh, I'm going to do my annual business plan no later than January 15th or December 15th. Mm-hmm. And they get busy with something else, and the one thing that they allow to slide is the stuff that's very important for their business. Or when it's a goal that impacts only them, they have a huge risk of that goal sliding because there's no other accountability.
Mm-hmm. So how do we establish these goals so that we don't get into that, to go down that rabbit hole?
Well, the first thing is, and it's interesting, coming from corporate America and doing lots of reading and stuff, there's the whole concept of the SMART goal, S-M-A-R-T goal, and that means it needs to be specific and measurable and achievable, realistic, and time-bound, and many goals are not.
Say that again, SMART. Say that again.
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And the two most important ones of those are the beginning and the end, the specific and the time-bound.
Right.
Because what happens is there's a difference between saying, I want to increase sales, or I am going to have 5 new accounts by April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can measure against it, it actually can give you some motivation and or reward. When you achieve it, you can reward yourself. But if they're not specific enough, they really don't carry the weight that they should. So the first thing that the small business owners who are listening in today should do is make sure that their goals are very tight, and that not tight in the way of too hard to achieve, but tight in the way of being specific and measurable and time-bound.
Does it also help to break them down into smaller pieces?
Yeah.
I mean, don't say I want to conquer the Rocky Mountains, right? You just say
right.
I want to start with the foothills, right?
Exactly. And once you establish the big goal, then it spawns the sub-goals. In other words, if your goal is to develop 5 new accounts, well, one goal might be I need to research and come up with at least 40 prospects by this date. So it does spawn the others, and it's either sub-goals or what I call milestones.
Right. Well, and another thing, it might be something like, I need more prospects, but the truth is, I don't really know how to prospect. So maybe your first goal is, I get some training on prospecting.
Exactly. Well, and you're leading to another point, and that is, once you've established your goals and your milestones, and not to take it off of small business, but one of the things that lends itself to great goal setting is losing weight. And someone might say, "I want to lose."
You stopped preaching and started meddling now.
There you go. Hey, I can't see you. I don't know if you need to lose weight or not.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Well,
let's just say donuts are my friend. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, all right. Well, they're a big reward, actually. If you want to lose 20 pounds, in 4 months, you don't lose them in the last week. You have to set milestones of losing 2 pounds a week for so many weeks.
Right.
And so you either have sub-goals, and I don't want to get too sciencey about it,
right,
but it just makes sense, sub-goals that lead to the major goal, or milestones that get you there. But the next thing that you want to think about is, what are my obstacles to achieving the goal?
Mm-hmm.
And you just articulated an obstacle. And in us coaches, and I'm a board-certified coach, obstacles are actually great tools, because if you acknowledge and articulate the obstacle, then you can set a goal to overcome the obstacle or work around it in some way.
But you've got to peel the onion back enough to see where the real problem is. If your salesperson isn't getting enough sales, it might not be that they're not good closers. It might be that they don't know how to get in front of people to close. You don't know that yet.
That's exactly right. And here's an example. Someone is not meeting their sales targets, and the boss says, well, how many calls did you make last week? And the person says, well, I made only 5 instead of 40, whatever the number.
Right.
And if you can get to the root cause, why didn't you make the 40 calls?
Mm-hmm.
And there's an obstacle there.
So, folks, it's called SMART.
Yeah.
Be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, right?
That's it.
Folks, that's going to be on the test. Make sure you wrote that down. Marsha Egan and I will be right back. That's MarshaEgan.com. Is that right, Marsha?
Yes, sir.
Quick break. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
Are we going out tonight?
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved.